Hi, I'm Cliff, and tonight's the last of my series. It took 1 year to make and only 4 weeks to watch it. I do hope you enjoyed the other 3. This last one is called My Kind of Life, and really what we've tried to do is base it around a concert in London and try to share with you perhaps something that's a little more personal. I hope you've enjoyed the series, and I hope that you feel you've learned a little bit more about me. That's Cliff Richard.
I didn't try to turn the people on and to play. Hey, hey. Well, you can keep all the money and the places that go with it, 'cause all I want is freedom and no cash could ever get it. All I want to do is play. Hey, hey. Well, that's been...
It's not an easy business. It's an industry where your raw material is people. It's not like you're building television sets or motor cars or refrigerators. You're dealing with people as your raw material, and it's awfully important that those people get along together. And this has been one of those happy relationships.
And I wouldn't spend it anywhere other than
I'm happy to say that we've just successfully re-signed him again and within the last few months for a further long-term contract. I can't imagine Cliff, and I hope he feels the same, being anywhere else other than with EMI.
One thing I want to do is work it again. Well, I think of Cliff, I was asked that before, I think there's only one Cliff Richard. I think he's great.
I think he's pretty all right myself. He's been going a long time, hasn't he?
This is the first guitarist ever. Terry Smart, Nolan Mifflin, and Ian Samuel, who wrote Move It on the Green Line 715 on the way to Oxford Circus.
Move It was the first British record that wasn't embarrassing.
Well, he seems to get better as the years go by. And, I mean, OK, all the groups that we have nowadays, they come and go. He's here forever.
And he just hasn't changed. That is the weird thing. He just hasn't changed at all. Really, I know what the secret of his success is, but if I can find it, I'd keep it. It's a good secret.
His ability to just not age at all in one bit, and also to produce sort of very high quality records all the time, that move with the times and progress with the times.
He's withstood the test of time.
And it quits, and you're a sense too fast. But when you're out with me, baby, you get deep, deep into love. Funny cat, we go to teachers, check out brains, but that you ain't used yet. You can name any president, yes, in school. We go 100%, but when the lights are low, 0, you get deep. Deep love, you go for tongue kissing. You gotta practice nightly hugging. You gotta squeeze more tightly. I recommend this remedy. Lots and lots and lots and lots of homework with the urine encyclopedia. Baby, I can't get near to you. I know you know your ABC, but you plunk in LOB. You got you get deep, deep in love. Kissing, you gotta practice nightly. Hugging, you gotta squeeze more. I recommend this You get D in love. You get D in love. You get D in love.
I don't want to look like an old man singing rock and roll. At least, it doesn't matter if you look like an old man, as long as people looking at you are not embarrassed by what you're doing. So now, I mean, I'm 40, so I mean, people could be embarrassed by what I'm doing, but they're not at the moment, so I must be doing it okay. And the only way to do that is to look in the mirror. You know, you look in the mirror and you pick out the clothes you want to wear, and as long as you wear clothes that suit you, it ought to work out all right. G'day. Morning. We're going to do this concert, which is a rock and roll show of old rock and roll material. And so therefore I wanted to give this feeling of slightly more old, an older look, you know.
Cliff hasn't been coming to us for that long, possibly about a year. I personally feel that his image is much improved. He's in the music business, I'm in the clothing business, but we have one thing in common, that being we're both in the fashion business, and it's very, very important, however good an artist is, however flamboyant and however fantastic an artist is, if he looks bad on stage, it reflects tremendously on his performance.
Oh, I think I like this. This feels a lot better, yeah. I love these zips. I mean, if I get hot, I just have to undo a zip straight through. It's ridiculous. Try this then. It's nice to be fashionable, but sometimes if you wear something really high fashion and you look silly in it, I'd rather not look silly in something that's really fashionable. But it's just a matter of looking at it, I think. It's like records. If you like the sound of a record, you buy it. You don't even know why sometimes. So I just gauge it by how I think I look.
Cliff, the Anthony Price samples have arrived.
Oh!
Try this on.
No, oh, fantastic!
The rock and roll.
Hey, that's great. Now that's fantastic. I mean, can I wear the white? I can wear the white scarf with it, couldn't I? Just
surely,
wear it
surely.
exactly as it is.
Surely.
What about on the feet?
I want a shot at this because it looks good on you.
Hey, that's fantastic. I mean, obviously I've got to get rid of the socks.
No, they're good. His performance is the most important thing to him. He has to look good. He does look good. If he looks good, he feels good, he performs well.
Let me love in a package labeled dynamite. I wanna feel and explode when I hold you tight. I got a powerhouse reception waiting for you when you come back to your love, baby's arms again. Sailing across the stars to a silvery moon. Well, if you wanna know heaven like a very soon. Well, give me kisses that explode from my very eyes. You know the sight of you can generate a million size. I'm all set for detonation. Baby, don't you know? 3, 2, 1, 0. Here I go. Sailing across the stars to a silvery moon. Well, if you wanna know what heaven's like, I'll be very soon. Sign of you can generate a million size. I'm all set for detonation. Get it over your 3, 2, 1, 0. Here I go. Sailing across the stars to a silvery moon. If you wanna know what heaven's like, I'll be there soon. Baby's arms again. Sailing across the stars to a silvery moon. If you wanna know what heaven's like, I'll be there soon. I remember hearing Living Doll on my tranny when I was doing my paper round. So that's how long it's been going? And I'm 36. So that's 36. My God. He's about 50. I mean, if I was anywhere near 40, which I'm not, you know, I'd be really worried about number 4, you know, coming up there. That's a bit...
It's quite an age, isn't it?
For a rock and roll singer, it's quite an age.
Having talked to Australia at 10 o'clock at night here, where I was still 39, I discovered that I'd been 40 for 7 hours in Australia. Such is the difference in teeth between the great religions. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it, when you think about it? 40 over there, 39 over here, so I think I'll live here, because I'll be younger longer.
I mean, we're all wrinkling and aging and bagging up, and he's staying perfect. I think he's got a portrait in the attic, you know. As long as there's sellotape and the Max Factor stitching kit, there'll be a cliff.
Who'd be 40, that's what I say. Me.
Come on, pretty baby, let's move it and groove it. Shake, baby, shake, but honey, please don't lose it. This rhythm that gets into your heart and soul. Let me tell you, baby, it's called rock and roll. They say it's gonna die, but honey, please let's face. Just don't know what's going to replace it. Fellas, they can little have or nothing on real country.
I didn't think they could possibly do anything in the middle of a rock and roll number called Move It, but I mean, they played Happy Birthday.
Honey, move it.
I leapt onto the rostrum and found myself on my own facing the drummer, and the two guitarists just shot right by me and went down front. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. Apparently, I nearly fell off the rostrum. I mean, I was really surprised. I don't know what chords we used, but it wasn't Move It.
Come on, pretty baby, let's move it and groove it. Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure what other crews are like, but our crew is really fantastic bunch, and they had this great cake made into the articulated laurel bit with all their names on it. I just couldn't believe when they came up, because I mean, who was working the lights and the sound?
Let me tell you, baby, it's called rock and roll.
I just don't believe that they could have done it so well, because a lot of people were involved and no one let slip. They crushed 75 people into a room that normally only takes about 20 people, and I did get the shock of my life.
Have or nothing on real country music that just drives along.
I really thought that they couldn't possibly catch me. Bill said to me, you remember we had a nice quiet meal after the OBE, and I said, that's right, we did. He said, well, let's do that again. I said, fabulous.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Cliff. Happy birthday to you. I know quite a few fans, especially girls, and mostly are married, who save up all their holidays from work, every day off, and when he's in London doing a concert or touring the country, they go to every concert twice a night if he's doing twice a night.
To me, I can't see the point in going to 1 or 2 shows, because you can't appreciate everything he does within 2 or 4 hours. You just can't appreciate.
Money doesn't seem to be any object to some of them. They just basically, I think, live for Cliff.
Been for the last 2 weeks, and for the rest of this week, and for Monday, well, the whole lot, all 3 weeks.
How much does that cost you?
£135.
Do you wanna dance? Or do you
I've been touring since about 77, but I went to one sort of every London one before that because I couldn't afford it. But now, just go everywhere, all over the country.
Baby, do you wanna dance?
I was 4.5 when I first met him. I live in Chedley, and well, I haven't looked back since then.
Wanna dance? Do you? Wanna dance? Do you?
Well, I've always liked him when I was a child, and this woman said, do you want to come to a concert? And I said, yes, please. She got me tickets, and I went to see him in Hammersmith. I thought he was really, really good, and I just bought his LPs.
First time we saw him, we just all thought he was so good, you know. We've just been 4 times now. It's just really great.
Do you wanna dance? Rock and roll band. Come on, baby, give me your hand, baby. Do you wanna dance? Ooh, do you wanna dance? Do you wanna dance? Do you wanna
Wouldn't you prefer somebody who was like a real man? With...
Cliff's a real man.
Is it?
Yeah, and it makes it better because, you know, we know we can't have him.
Yeah.
So.
You know you can't have him. What do you mean?
Yeah, well, we're too old, and he, you know, he gives us someone to look at and everything, you know, to worship, you know.
Would you like to meet him at all?
Oh, yeah. God.
Why? What would you do if you did?
Just say hi. Hi.
Well, hi. I heard there's some Gary Newman fans in it, so I thought I'd better come and say hello.
Hello.
What are you doing up here? Because you know you're on a candid camera, don't you? Hey, listen, you weren't even born when I started my career.
I know, it's terrible, isn't it?
You're not the ringleaders that rush up the front.
Yeah, we are! Have you ever seen us? You touched my scarf, don't you remember?
Was that your scarf? Oh, I shall never wash my hands again.
We made no commitment, we made only words, and it's no consolation that we're free like the birds.
I haven't gone out to provoke sexual fantasies in people. But having said that, I also realize that I cannot control what people feel about me who are sitting in the dark out in the audience. Just being a male on stage is bound to attract females, and I personally have to deal with a lot of women who fantasize about me. I figure in their fantasies and I become reality. Girl that sends me telegrams. The latest one was, this is from Australia, it says, stop messing around at the top and remember 3 things. Miss V. Harland. And then you get the girl that will come down and she'll be carrying her carrier bag and she'll have her overnight clothes and she's come to stay the weekend. Now, I mean, I don't know what to do with that.
But you stay just the same as you are, and I hide away tonight.
Or a girl that floats up to the front door and says, the Lord has sent me, we're meant for each other. I mean, in point of fact, the Lord hadn't told me anything about it, and I mentioned that to her. So many people lead what is apparently quite normal lives, do everyday jobs, and yet 90% of the time, they believe that they're my wife, or that they ought to be my wife. I enjoy having fans. I enjoy the fact that people like the records that I make, for instance. And there's a place for fantasy. You can read it. I read science fiction until it's coming out of my ears, and I love it. And it's totally untrue. I mean, some of the things are ridiculous, but it gets me out. It's fine. The danger is that some people don't know where the fantasy stops.
I am a performer. I like to perform things. I like to get on stage and sing anything, as long as I get a chance to be in front of people and perform and convey a piece of fantasy to a group of people.
But I want to bring people back. I don't see why they should be left in fantasy. It's never going to help them to think that I have always got gold lame on, because I haven't.
Most of my songs are love songs, and so therefore one's dealing with love, obviously only on a certain level, but it's dealing with it probably on the most relatable level, in that everyone meets someone, everyone has a feeling of love towards someone at some point. Well, I reckon that's the reason why people sing about love, is because it is the thing that everyone can relate to. Love, the breakdown of love, etc.
Have you been in love?
I've been in love a couple of times. And there again, you see, being in love is not enough. Because I can say it now, without any pain here, or here, and say, yeah, I've been in love. I've I've been in love a couple of times, and that's why whenever people ask me, what about marriage? I always say, well, I've had a couple of false alarms. I always consider them to have been false alarms. That there's nothing wrong with being in love, but being in love doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to lead on to a very successful marriage, because in point of fact, you are dealing with human emotions which are so up and down and so unreliable that if I had followed my instincts, I could have been divorced twice now, because I'm certainly not in love with those people now. So being in love is something to sing about, but not necessarily to push any further. Being in love is only the beginning, and if it doesn't go past a certain area, then I think you've got to be sensible enough and say, well, this is not going to lead to the ultimate relationship, and so let's stop it.
Was Olivia important romantically to you?
Not really. I think everybody was in love with Olivia, and I was probably... Yes, but only I don't think sexually. I mean, I never thought of getting married to Olivia. I loved her company. I mean, I'm using the word in love now in the widest sense of the word.
He's very gentle and kind, and he's a considerate kind of person, and he's fun. And he has a good sense of humour. I think those things are one of the most... They're the few important things that you look for. In fact, where are you, Cliff?
You're my love. You're my angel. You're the girl of my dreams.
She's the one female that I spent more time with, enjoyably, than any other female. She's a beautiful girl. I still think she looks better now, I think, than she ever did.
Dad is home. Dad is home to stay. How I've waited for this moment.
I don't see him very regularly now because when he comes to America, we all get together and have dinner. But he's very sociable, and he likes to get together with friends and just mess around.
Dad is home. Dad is home to stay.
Well, I have great memories of Olivia, and she danced me off my feet. We used to go to discos, and she's the only one I know that after 2 concerts and a great meal would want a disco till 5 a.m. I mean, it was quite fantastic. I don't know whether she still does that, but it was really great. So, yes, I loved her in the way that I'm sure many men love her.
But I made a promise that you treasure.
Thank you.
And I made it back home to you. How I've waited for this moment to be by your side. Your best friend Ronan told me you had teardrops in your eyes. Dad is home. Dad is home to stay. Dad is home to stay. I'm not 1,000 miles away.
I suppose there are certain areas in show business. I mean, I'm more prone to be tempted by sex, drugs, and rock and roll than most other people are.
Do you really find those temptations?
Yeah. Well, not drugs so much.
Do you find sex a temptation?
Yeah, it has been quite often. I mean, that's again a natural part of existence and life, and one has to decide what one thinks is right. For instance, it even comes down to a point now. My feelings about the privacy of a person's life. It's not just privacy, it's whether or not one should do certain things in private. And I even turn down songs that glorify a situation that I know to be wrong. I've got a fabulous song now that I won't tell you who wrote it, and it's about someone coming, and it must have happened to all of us at some point. It certainly happened to me. It's all about, she's knocking at my bedroom door. I'm shocked, it says in the song, which is nice to hear, but it's the girl of my best friend. Now, should I let her in, or shall I resist it? And that's happened to everyone. It certainly happened to me many, many times. Now, some people say, oh, well, whether you resist it or not, that's your private thing, you know. And as long as you keep it under your hat, that's okay. But that's not, and that's where you see people don't understand. Being a Christian is 10 times harder than not being a Christian. It's not just a matter of whether one can believe in God or not. It's a matter of saying, yes, I believe in God, and then showered upon you is a whole row of standards that you're never going to absolutely, you know, get to. And part of that standard is what you do sexually, how you abuse your body or not abuse it. And it's not a matter of saying, well, he can smoke pot or take heroin as long as no one else sees him do it. For the Christian, the answer is, no, you don't do that, because that's unhealthy for your body, and your body belongs to God. And people don't understand that it's the hardest thing in the world. They think this goody-goody business just doesn't work. When the general public thinks about a temptation, they think about women flaunting themselves in front of us. And that's got to be the major area of where your thoughts go, woo, go crazy. So, I mean, if you want an area, that's got to be the area. The sexual area is probably the hardest area to deal with, because whether or not I like someone or not is something I can deal with quite easily.
How do you combat that temptation?
I pray hard. Somehow or another, being a Christian has helped me deal with all that area. I mean, I'm not married, but that's, I mean, maybe I'll never be married, but I still feel that God gives us what we need. I don't feel at the moment that I need a wife, but when I see her, I know, you know, I know it's going to be right.
The longer he's put off marriage, he's probably got, as most people do, get more and more fussy, and the girl that, you know, you're going to meet, your standards that you're setting, because you're so used to living on your own, become higher and higher, which make it very difficult. And I think, therefore, he's more wrapped in himself.
I didn't get married when the Shadows all get married. I nearly did. I've had a couple of false alarms, because it just seemed to me everyone was married. And I thought, I ought to be married. Everyone's married. And then I thought, but I'm not in love, and it frightened me, and I pulled away.
It's a funny society we live in that you know, we're all expected to conform to certain things, such as if you're not married by the time you're 25, there's something wrong with you, or if you're not out with a different girl every week if you're single, there's something wrong with you again, because that's accepted as the normal, or what people would like to see as normal. And because he wouldn't conform to those things, he's had to take, I think as Bruce mentioned before, a lot of knocking.
I mean, for instance, there was an old couple that were interviewed on television. I mean, I think the reason why they were on television was because, first of all, they were really old, and they'd been married for like 60 or 65 years. And they were still holding hands, And the thing about it was, no one talked about sex. I mean, everyone knows how important that is in marriage. They said, you know, she said, oh, I really like him. And I thought, how fantastic. They understood something that had sustained them through. You've really got to like your partner.
He has certain standards that he has to live by, and he can't compromise on those standards just because the press say he should be walking out with a girl on each arm every night of the week.
Yeah.
He doesn't agree with that, so he won't do it. And I think that's all the more power to his elbow.
I'd like to end up being 85, married, and holding my wife's hand and saying, she's my best friend.
What sort of girl do you think he'll marry?
You have to ask him that one. I don't know. I imagine someone that has the same kind of beliefs as him.
Do you think that would be important?
I think it would be important because I think when you are a devout Christian, then I think it's important that you have someone that shares that belief with you, because I know that they feel that that's, you know, I don't know what percent it would be, but I think it's maybe 80% of his life, or it's an integral part of his life. To be with someone that didn't have that belief, I think would be almost impossible.
If I said I loved you, what would you say? If I said I needed you, would it frighten you away? If I said I loved you and I wanted you to be my one and only lover eternally, you and me and Jesus, Jesus, me and you, on our own we break, with him we'll make it through. Jesus, take us, make us what you want us both to be. I give myself to her, she gives herself to me. Love is really fragile if it's gonna last. Gotta start by giving Jesus future, present, past. I ache the way I love you, but baby it's sink or swim. And when we look back years from now, we're gonna owe it all to him. You and me and Jesus, Jesus, me and you, on our own we'd break, with him we'll make it through. Jesus, take us, make us what you want us both to be. I give myself to her, she gives herself to me.
The sort of image that Cliff has, a lot of people think he's sort of too good to be true. Is that a fact?
I suppose he is. I couldn't find anything wrong with him, and I suppose people don't like that because critics like to have something nice to say, and if there isn't anything obvious, they'll make it up. And he's a nice chap and a great entertainer, and he leads his life in a nice way, and people don't really tend to like that. It's all too nice, all too good to be true, you know.
Because I've always had this thing thrown at me about, oh, it's too good to be true. What people forget is that I'm more aware of my badness than probably they are. But there again, I'm struggling against me all the time, and we're back to biblical principles. Paul said there's an evil me that is constantly trying to override the good me. And if I can let my good me win in front of the public as often as possible, that's a success to me. It's not a fault. I mean, the fault is that I can't stop my thoughts. I can't stop thinking that I'd rather be doing other things. I'd rather smash some people in the face because they really annoy me. But it's a success that I don't smash them in the face, don't you see? So that all I'm doing is being like everyone else, except that in public I'm able to say, I can cool it.
Well, that's been my kind of life, yeah, that I like it. Well, that's been my kind of life, yeah, that I like it. Ooh, that's been my kind of life, yeah. And I wouldn't.
So if you came before, you should have been here tonight.
Sitting down somewhere playing away my days. My kind
form of work that invades the whole of your existence. When I walk out on a Saturday to go to, I don't know, the local supermarket, I'm trying to go and do my shopping, but I know I can't ever stop being a showbiz, quote, personality, because there's going to be little kids peeping around the counter going, ooh, there he is. So it's part of all of your life, so it does affect everything. And I can't stop being a rock and roll singer ever.
To believe